I'm Christina Porter, Technical Advisor with AgSpire and Food Animal Veterinarian. I want to share with you some practical ways to improve your operations efficiency through simple management changes. Every so often, it's a good idea to review our overall management plan. Are you well vaccinated? Are you over vaccinated? Are you using your implants correctly? Is the timing right? You're spending a lot of money on these products. Are they even working? So I just wanted to take a minute today and look at some of these general things that we can do to make sure what we're doing is working. So I think we all understand that a healthy calf is going to grow better. A healthy calf grows better, puts on more pounds, makes us more money on sale day. That's kind of our end goal with raising cattle. So how do we get that healthy calf? I love this word, homeostasis. It simply means keeping things stable. So health is homeostasis. It's a stable internal environment where nothing changes and the calf continues on this healthy path where it can convert feed and put on pounds. Anything that changes that homeostasis leads to disease. So there's a whole lot of things. Parasites decrease the immune system, changes that internal environment. The calf is focusing on the parasite, not on the disease. A simple disease that normally the calf can fight off takes over. We have a sick calf. So we all deal with viruses all the time. Bovine respiratory virus is one of the biggest costs in the cattle industry. So we've got viruses, we've got bacteria, we've got pink eye. We have all these things that threaten this stable environment. As soon as it gets messed up, we can have disease. So we vaccinate. We know that. We vaccinate our calves to protect from this disease. What I want us to think about today is, are our vaccines working? Yes, we need to pick the right vaccine. We spend a lot of time, your veterinarian spends a lot of time poring over the research data to pick out the right product. But is your animal capable of responding to that product? So who we give it to, how we give it to, their internal state, that all changes that vaccine's efficacy. One of the biggest things that I think gets in our way is dehydration. Super simple, but if a cell is dehydrated, it can't respond to the pathogen, to the vaccine, to whatever it is. A dehydrated cell is not functioning properly. So think about the timing of when we're giving these products to these calves. They go through a sale barn, they have a really stressful day, they spend 7 hours of truck, and then we expect them to respond to a product. It's not happening. They need to be rested, they need to drink, their cells need to be rehydrated before they have a chance at responding to the vaccine. So if we can lower that stress, if we can make sure they're not dehydrated, then our vaccines have a chance of working. It's pretty simple, but a lot harder to do. Making sure your parasite control is adequate so you have that stable internal environment to respond to your vaccines is going to help us with respiratory disease. And we could go on and on with the examples. So the other thing, we covered dehydration, but my second thought of what disrupts this homeostasis is just the stress itself. High cortisol, high adrenaline, those things in and of themselves can depress our immune system. So the body is focusing on the stress. This is what we call our flight or fight response. It's a survival mechanism. Body is focusing on the stress, taking care of the immediate need, not focusing on the pathogen. Depresses our immune system, these diseases take over. But what I find absolutely fascinating about stress, and I believe this goes for humans as well as cattle, a perceived stress is responded to in the same way as real stress. So we all have real stresses. Those viruses, those bacteria, how about the weather? That's a real stress. Dehydration, starvation, malnutrition from a mineral deficiency. We're talking real physical stresses, and it's easy to understand that those will depress our immune system. Well, let's think about perceived stress. That's a little harder to understand because we know it's not real, but the animal's body is responding as as if it's real. So a perceived stress could be unfamiliar environment, a pen change, mixing up of cattle. Those things can actually be seen as a threat to the animal because their homeostasis is disrupted. That depresses the immune system and can allow disease to take over. Think about weaning time. Think about all the different changes that that animal is going through and how that might be depressing our immune system. You might have sold off a calf's best friend. That's a stress to her. That's a social disruption that makes that animal feel uncomfortable, maybe not confident enough to walk up to the water tank. I understand that those things are happening, but understanding that they're happening can help us prepare for them and lower some of that stress so homeostasis is not disrupted. Here's one we don't like to think about as a perceived stress. You have made it the mission of your life to care for these cattle. You know you're out there to take care of them. But are you coming across to the animal as its caretaker or as a predator? Because that flight or fight response is going to kick in, even if you're out there to care for the animal if it sees you as a predator. That threat will disrupt the homeostasis and can affect the calf's health, and maybe even just in the moment, its ability to respond to the vaccine that you're giving because of how it's given in that day. And that can have long-term health effects. So we have all these different tools in our toolbox. We know about vaccines. We know about antibiotics. I think for the most part, we understand that nutrition has to be right to keep an animal healthy. It is vital. But I would have to add stress management to that list of tools we have in our toolbox. I don't think it can be separated from animal health. So I have a mentor and favorite veterinarian who is quite an expert in stress management, and I've learned so much from him. But one thing he's drilled into me is that there's 3 days we need to think about. 3 most important days in a calf's life. He loves to say this. It's the day she's born, the day she's branded, and the day that she's weaned. So as a caretaker, I want to think through how I can impact those 3 days, because I feel like that's where I can have the biggest either positive or negative effect on the calf. So let's think about the moment she's born. That's the moment we can have the first impact on that calf. We need to get the calf tagged. How are we going to get that calf tagged? Can we do it in such a way that we don't mess up the maternal bonding? Colostrum is vital. We've heard that forever. That's been drilled into us. But is our simple thing like tagging affecting our colostrum intake? Did you stress that cow out to where she ran off when you were tagging the calf? And then it takes her 3 hours to come back and actually calm down enough to let that calf nurse. Those things can have an impact forever on that calf. So we want to tag so we don't interfere with maternal bonding. We want to do whatever we can to increase nursing frequency. This doesn't mean don't go anywhere near them. We maybe need to leave them alone for a while for the maternal bonding, but actually getting cattle up, teaching them as soon as they see you, that's time to go find mom. Train these cows and these calves to increase that nursing frequency. That can take care of things like the clostridial diseases that we struggle with. That can probably do more for us than giving the clostridial vaccine. We have the power within our management to affect these things without always having to turn to a pharmaceutical. So branding would be another opportunity we have to interact with this calf. And by branding, I mean first time the calf is processed, whether you put a brand on it or not. That's a training opportunity. That's a chance for us to interact with these animals, for us to teach them that we are the caretaker, we're not the threat, and we can be partners. We can work together and we can help each other. You're not the bad guy. So again, anytime we can see these things as training opportunities, we can have a positive effect on that animal. We can give them confidence to know it's going to be okay. And we're not there to cause them harm. So I see everything we do from the moment that calf is born, from the tagging, the branding, all that, is just preparing that calf for weaning. So I imagine that weaning is the most stressful thing that calf goes through. I mean, think about it. The separation, just listen to the bawling itself. We know there's stress on that animal. So what can we do to prepare that calf knowing that day is coming? These training opportunities can be part of that preparation. And when you think about the stress of weaning, it's not just separation from mom. It's often a new environment, going through the sale barn, transportation stress, new diet. Everything has changed. The water might taste different. There again, dehydration. We know that animal can't respond. I've got a kid who's a picky eater. If anything tastes a little different, that's a stress in her life. For some of these animals, it's happening the same way to them. So little things we do to give them confidence, to help them feel comfortable, all those things can lower the stress, give us a better chance at this homeostasis or health, maintaining the stable internal environment. Weather, we can't change it. There's nothing aside from moving out of South Dakota I can do to change the weather stress on my calves. It's going to be there. So let's deal with it. What can we do to add comfort? It might be extra bedding, little extra nutrition and prep. Water intake is super important. Do they have access to enough water? Not a little frozen puddle every once in a while. Healthy, stable environment is what we're going for here. So I guess all this to say, a happy calf is usually a healthy calf. So what can we do to positively influence that calf so she can do what she does best? And I think we both win in the end. That's what I've got for you today. Appreciated your time. If you enjoyed this, if you would like any more of these little tips that we can offer you, a great way to do it is to sign up for our AgSpire Producer Network. If you visit www.agspire.com, you can sign up for the network, keep getting alerts and messages from our technical assistant team. And thanks for letting us join in on your operation.